listening to the Ice Prep Podcast. Here's your hosts, Brian and Pat.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Ice Prep Podcast, home of the very long hair and the ongoing mustache. Luckily, not on the same person.
True. Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Could you imagine
could
if
just...
I did that?
Oh, no,
the
Brian, no.
I think my wife would kill me.
Yeah. Mine's already upset enough with my look with, really short and letting the mustache grow. Like, no,
I could never
don't
do a
blame her.
goatee. I don't like that.
No.
Yeah, this is for
to.
the more than a few people who are like, let the hair down. It's long. And for those wondering, yes, it will end up being donated. It's pretty much at that length. So I know I've had a few people that outside of the podcast that were like, your hair is really long. Yep. Gonna end up donating it. So if you're wondering why it's still long, considering I've never had long hair in my life, really, ta-da. And there's our non-hockey talk for the day, except for the fact that for those who are watching, Pat's a little hungover still.
Yeah, I'm a touch dusty.
So in honor of that,
Brian is going to have a sip of a beverage. No, yesterday was me and my wife. We celebrated our 3-year anniversary, so I
happy
enjoyed.
Anniversary.
Well, thank you. So I enjoyed a few drinks, and by a few, I mean about a bottle and a half of wine. And I thought I'd be fine, but then my brain decided at like 6 a.m, hey, you're getting up. And I was not happy about that. So I only got about 4 hours of sleep. So I'm not feeling super duper, but I'm going to push through because obviously hockey is more important than my own health and well-being.
So it will be a shorter episode. We've said that before, and then it's an hour and a half, but we'll try.
Yeah, and then it's our longest episode.
We've done that twice in season 1. We're like, okay, 20 minutes, and an hour and a half goes by. Since we last talked, the NHL is kind of nothing has changed, yet everything has changed. The standings are hilarious to me because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, call it 5 teams in the top 15 who nobody expected to really be up there.
I mean, it is still early. Like,
yes.
I know that we've been saying it's still early, but like we haven't even hit 1 full month of hockey or like regular season hockey yet. So like you look at Colorado, for instance, they're sitting, I think it was 24th is what I said. They've only played 9 games in comparison to other teams. And it's not like they have a bad record. They're 4-4-1. It's not
they're also
great.
in Finland right now too. So
yeah, there's that. But it's not a great record, but it's also not anything to be like, oh no, what are we gonna do? We've got to fire the coach. We've got to ship out everybody on the team. We've got to do all this stuff. 4-4-1. That's terrible.
Don't you love the difference between Toronto media and everywhere else?
Oh yeah.
Like one bad little road trip, and the Leafs have had a lot of games early. To have a road trip like that, it's rough, and it's showing, and their team's also showing how much they're hurting without. I think, as much as you and I like to rag on Muzzin, I think his presence was huge. It really shows
doing much for them at the start, though. They're playing about the same level with or without him.
Yeah, the second that he left, though, Justin Hall became like Gardner 2.0 and then got infinitely worse. That's a whole other beast, a whole different can of worms. I don't know if I want to get into because Leaf fans have said it better than we can.
I will say it's pretty sad and pretty awful of Leaf fans to be booing Justin Hall when they're winning. He fell over a couple times. Yes, that's not great. You don't want that from your defenseman. You really don't. But at the same time, why are you booing your own players? Come on. They were winning. get over it. Like it's just I get that you don't like the kid, but he is still a part of your team. And if you're a fan of the team, you shouldn't be booing your own players unless it's like 12-0 and you are getting blown out and they are clearly not playing.
Leaf
That's
fans
fine.
Leaf fans don't know what to do without having a pariah, though. There has always
Yeah.
been one, and if there's not, they find a way to make one. And
Mhm.
that's part of having the biggest fan base, the biggest media surrounding media outlets that literally make their money based off like starting rumors. Honestly,
Mhm.
some of the Leaf media is the same as like the British tabloids. It's just kind of the way it is, except more people treat it as news instead of tabloids. But
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. A few things that I do want to say because part of it has to do with the Leafs and how Erik Karlsson had his big moment getting the OT winner after the Leafs just leafing it up.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'll bring this up now. I've got the list here, so Pat can't see it. Everybody else can, if you're watching on YouTube. The skaters and the points. Now, what the crazy thing is here, we're gonna look at goals. Number 2 in the league in goals right now is Erik Karlsson. For the first time in his career, he got a hat trick, which is A, crazy that it's the first, but B, you don't hear about defenseman hat tricks all that often.
No. No, and I mean, good for him. It like as much as there's been a lot of stuff around him, and was a trade bad for Ottawa, was it bad for San Jose? Like, I'm just glad that he's been able to come back because he's been battling with a lot of personal stuff on top of a lot of injuries and just trying to recover from surgeries and rehab and all this stuff. So it's nice to see him back in the form that everyone thought he was going to be when he got traded to San Jose. They thought that him and Brent Burns were going to be this monster team, and then just injuries. It just took over.
And it's honestly so much fun watching him play right now because
Mhm.
you're getting the flashbacks to when he, without an ankle, put a hockey team on his back, which he
Yeah.
did in Ottawa. And like to me, it's just crazy that he stands second in the league right now in goals. And there's a few other names on there that are surprising. Not surprising, Connor McDavid number 1,
Actually,
scoring
that
at,
is a bit surprising.
well, yeah, because he was always the assist guy. And then I
He
think
would
what changed though
pretty close to even.
was in the playoffs last year. Draisaitl gets injured. McDavid had to start scoring a little bit more. Like you
Yeah.
look at the stats, Draisaitl's almost all assists this year. He's barely gotten
Mhm.
any goals. Um, who knows? Maybe
So,
McDavid,
yeah.
like I can't remember the last time we had a 50-50 player. Maybe he decides to go 60 goals, 60 assists plus. I think if anybody
It'd be
can
pretty
do
cool to
it,
see that.
he's
Yeah.
probably the only player we'll ever see, minus Crosby before he got injured in our lifetime, that could pull that off.
I mean, I think that's pretty premature to say that. You've got
That's
kids that are
true.
coming up that like I've been following a lot of the juniors. Like I can't name any of the names because every day it feels like, here's the new leader of this division of this tiny little league. But like you've got people that on top of Connor Bedard that are blowing people out of the water in their retrospective leaves. So yeah, it's or respective leaves, not retro. But yeah, so you've got a lot of really young, like 15-year-old kids that are doing things better than 18-year-old kids. So, and they're just going to get better. So that's exciting to see. I think we're about to hit a new phase in the next probably like 5 years. We are going to see a new generation coming in, which is weird because we're still in the start of a new generation, but we're going to be seeing a new one coming in that's going to be like a league of little McDavids. So
Well, and
that'll be
Seagrass
fun.
is kind of like the start to the next one. Just that like
Personality
personality,
with it. Yeah.
his don't care attitude, which is great. He's just a fun guy, it seems. So
Mhm.
That's nice. The one thing that I was looking at with the list, I'll pull it back up here for people.
Yeah.
Couple names on there. Okay, so McDavid, yeah, okay, a little surprising, but not that really. Kaprizov up there, okay, makes sense. Svechnikov up there, Tavares up there, Pasternak, two Sabres up there, which is crazy, and Tage Thompson and Victor Olofsson. Tage Thompson, that contract is looking like it could be Draisaitl level of just like
I
unbelievable.
called it. I said he was going to be one of the breakout stars this year. And sure enough, that contract is not as bad as everyone was making it out to be. And I am very excited for Tage Thompson. That is awesome to see.
It is funny that he has a 6 point night and he just barely hits the top 10 in points, though. Because
Yeah,
he's tied with his defenseman on his team, who's at 14 points right now. And, of course, the shocking one to me up there is Gabe Vilardi. that third line center in LA, look out, 8 goals. We said LA was going to be good. I don't think Gabe Vilardi was like the bingo card of being like, this is the guy that's going to do it for them. It was, no, the other guys that they picked up, Arvidsson and, who's the other one that I can't think of that used to play for Nashville?
He's on the points list. No, Kempe, he's been in LA for a while. Fiala.
Oh, yes, the one who I really wanted. Looking at the points, he's not in the top 10 unless he's at 14, but yeah, McDavid and Draisaitl is 1 and 2 for the points is not surprising. Pasternak, the number 4 one, I love seeing. 10-game point streak to start the season. Devils are going to owe him probably above $8 million if they want to sign him. He's doing a show me year, and he's showing off right now.
Oh, yeah.
Panarin, Kucherov, and then 2 defensemen, which is unreal.
Did you say the name? Did you say his name?
Who?
You just talked about. You didn't say.
Jesper Bratt.
You were just like a devil. It's a payout year. Bye, everyone.
Can see it, not saying it. Jesper Bratt, who's been killing it for the Devils, and then Panarin up there, Kucherov, Karlsson, Dahlin, which is just ridiculous. The top 3 defensemen in the league right now are all from Sweden, which that's just kind of been their factory. And then, of course, Tage Thompson and Tavares rounding out the points. So there's not really too many surprises when you look at the points. I mean, the 1 and 2, it'll probably stay like that all year long.
Yeah.
I'm expecting them to score a lot tonight because they're doing a ceremony right now. Otherwise, the Devils and Edmonton game would probably be started. They're honoring captains or something like that. I don't know. The game was supposed to start at 9. It's now 9:25, and they haven't started yet. But
as they like to.
It's fun to see the stats because we're, as you said, we're just under a month. We'll have to next episode take a look at how our kind of where we thought everybody would be. I
already have them up.
Yes,
but
I know the one.
And I am going to say, I chose Tage Thompson to have a breakout year. So feeling good. I'm feeling good about this start, but it's Buffalo. And if we've known anything from Buffalo, they are wonderful at starting hot and then they crash and burn by December. So who knows? Hopefully that curse is done.
I would love to see Buffalo make it through because they're the issue for them is I don't know if Craig Anderson can keep up a 1.66 goals against average. If he does, he gets the Vezina. If he has a half decent year and Buffalo makes the playoffs, somebody would have to put up a season as good as what Shesterkin did to take that away from Craig Anderson because he's how old? And he is like 41, and he's one of the best goalies in the league right now.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say I'm really excited to see some of the names in the top goalie list. Actually, it's really good to see. I think we talked about it briefly in the last episode, but Carter Hart, I think he's number 4 on certain stats, but he's like in the top 10 overall for goaltending just in general.
Yep, ninth in the league for GAA.
Yeah, so that's really good to see that he's found that because that was a kid that, like we talked about before, was brought up too early. So it's nice to see that he's finally, grown into those pads. But then you also have Ottinger, who's just, Unfortunately, he's injured, but he's been playing out of his mind. He is so good. But the ones that make me so happy to see, and that is Thompson and Hill for Vegas.
Which is funny because you hate Vegas.
Well, I don't know if I hate Vegas, but like in comparison to certain teams, like they're not at the top of my hate list. They're they're like like a bright orange if we were going to be using a colored scale. But yeah, I'm really excited to see that because that just kind of proves my theory that the goalie coach that trained people in Arizona is one of the best goalie coaches in the entire friggin' league because he has now turned Darcy Kemper into a Stanley Cup winning goaltender. He has turned Aiden Hill into a top 10 goaltender in the league. At least it's a 1A, 1B tandem, and the two of them are just playing out of their mind. It's fantastic to see. You've got Antti Ranta, who was getting Vezina nominations last year because he was playing so well. Not as well as Freddie, but even still, he got like a handful, but he was up there and people were talking about him. He was a well sought after asset. And there was another one who I can't remember off the top of my head, but you've got this, and that was one goalie coach in Arizona, of all places, Arizona. So he has been able to take these goaltenders that were probably pretty good. Like you look at Kemper, he didn't even start there. I believe he started in Dallas, if my memory serves me
Kemper
right.
was originally like a failed goaltender. People forget that. He was he's supposed to be good, and then it was almost like the Arizona Reclamation Project. And this coach, and I mean, he gets away from the coach for 2 years, and it's not looking as good.
Yeah, I mean, he's not putting up the numbers that he used to, but it's just nice to see that
he also doesn't have the best defensive pair in hockey in front of him anymore.
Yeah, there's that. But even still, it's nice to see something like that where it's like the system itself there's the proof is just out there now how good this one person is. So I don't know what's going on in Ottawa because it's not happening there. But
well, and the thing that's crazy too, if you look at Hill and Thompson, their numbers are almost identical. I've got them pulled up right now. So it's the goalies, but it's also the system that Vegas is playing, because the fact that they're 0.2 points separating on save percent and 0.1 on goals against average, there's a lot of that is the goalies. A lot of that is, and Vegas is playing not what a lot of people would remember as like your 3-2 hockey. It's like anybody who's on the ice, they are being defensive, like very responsible defensively. And it's showing because the demise of Vegas was a lot of us were very wrong on that. It was always like, okay, if they don't have why can't I think of his name who's injured in net? Leonard. It's like, well, what's going to happen? Thompson can't repeat, and Thompson showing he's that good. Ottinger showing he's that good. While I'm looking at it, do yourself a favor, hover over Stuart Skinner's picture. It is amazing.
Yeah, it's good. But yeah, that one I think makes me happier than most because just over the summer, Edmonton was like, this is the solution. Campbell is the solution. We have him. He is our savior. He will bring us the cup. And who are they going to be starting for the foreseeable future? The backup kid that they should have been starting 2 years ago.
The one that all of last year, every hockey fan, even us, were like, play Skinner. Don't play the old guy or the one who was signed to a very expensive contract that nobody likes in Koskinen. But they went with the old adage of you got to play your players who are making the most money. No, you really don't. You play with the best players. It's why players like Ottinger have gotten their due. It's kind of why Binnington ended up getting his shot, because they were like, no, we're going to go with the hot hand. And Edmonton last year was just like, meh. And they essentially McDavid and Draisaitl their way into the third round.
Yeah, they were outscoring their problems. That's pretty much the way that they had to play their game. And yeah, so it's really good to see. Out of soup or stew, stew is the one that has come out on top, and they're benching $5 million. It makes me so happy. Nothing against Campbell, but it's just, it's so good. It's so good. The sweet, sweet justice of, Campbell's gonna fix everything, and nope, he was run out of the net in the Battle of Alberta. Come on, that's great.
One thing I do want to go while we're looking at the stats and while I have them up is not sure how much you looked up, but the rookies this year, it's a fun batch. Obviously, everybody's still trying to figure out what's going on in Seattle with the number 4 overall pick. Is he going to play? Is he going to get sent down? But Matty Beniers, I can never say his name. One day I will get it. Can you remember how to say it?
I think it's Matty Beniers.
Yeah, he is unreal playing for Seattle. He's leading rookies in points right now. Him and Shane Wright, I've said it a few times. I think a few years down the line, that could be the scariest 1-2 in the league. Just the way that kind of you've got Matthews Tavares is one of the scariest when they're on. Those two are going to be ridiculous. Shane Pinto's up there. I'm pretty sure you had Kent Johnson as one of your rookie highlights for the year. He's playing very well.
He's looking pretty good. Although they did, I think he's either hurt or he was benched.
Oh,
I can't remember. I thought I remember something. I thought I remember reading something about that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see. I can't even remember who I picked, but Shane Pinto, he's just killing it. 6 goals, 7 points, so he's just scoring, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a unique season, honestly. Already, like it feels.
McTavish, but he's injured. Sorry,
we didn't even choose those.
Oh,
well
then, never mind.
We said, will any of this past year's draft class win the Calder? Yes or no? And we both said no.
As of now, we're definitely right.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's already been a really interesting year. I mean, obviously we talked about Philly and they've found magic. You've got Boston, who was playing without all of their top players pretty much, and they were 9-1 at the time. You also have Pittsburgh deciding that they don't want to do a cup run right now, and losing, I think, their last 5 at least, and they're pulling a Vancouver, and they're losing they're losing after already having multi-goal leads in that game. So they are blowing multi-goal leads, just like the Vancouver Canucks, who have at least found a little bit of gas in their tank. It's kind of all over the place right now. I know it's going to settle down, but even still, it's been an interesting start.
Pittsburgh 3-0-1 at home, 1-5-1 on the road. They've lost 1, so they had a win and then they lost.
Yikes.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to do a little game with you, so don't pull up the standings here. How far down, so league-wide, do you think you have to go until you find a team that is not on a winning streak?
That is not on a winning streak?
Yeah. So, for example, the number 1 in the league is Boston. That's not a surprise. Number 2 is Vegas. Those are both teams on winning streaks. How far down the list do you have to go to find a team that is not currently on a winning streak?
12.
You are so close, that's scary. It is number 11. Can you guess who that team is?
Number 11. Who's in 11th place? Or would it be 12th place?
Nope, they're in 11th.
Okay, so there's 10 teams that are currently having a win streak, and number 11 is not.
Number 1 to 10 in the league are all on winning streaks.
Okay. Let's say it's Philly.
Congrats.
Yes.
Well done.
They just lost.
Yeah, it's crazy. Boston, 6 in a row. Vegas, 5 in a row. New Jersey, 4 in a row. Edmonton, 5 in a row. Those 2 teams play tonight. Both teams 7-3. Buffalo 2 in a row. New York 2 in a row. Carolina 1-2. Dallas 1. Islanders with 4. Look out! They're they're coming back, and then
Boo.
Tampa with 3 in a row. That's the scary thing right now is teams that are not in playoff spots, a lot of them aren't gaining ground because if you go below that, there are you've got Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
Toronto, Minnesota, Arizona, and Anaheim. Every other team is on a losing streak.
Oh, God.
The separation from the top 10 to the rest of the league right now, it's not good.
No, that's not good at all.
To me, the most shocking thing is probably St. Louis. They've lost 5 in a row. They are currently the worst team in the league when it comes to that, trailed closely by Columbus and Ottawa. It is such a weird season for that.
Yeah, no, and you can see the frustration actually in St. Louis. I think because they all thought that they were like, okay, well, we're shoo-ins for the playoffs. We should be pretty good. I think we're going to be a pretty solid team. But it looks like Bennington's kind of letting them down.
Shock.
Gasp.
Who could have seen that coming? And it's worse right now for them. The Islanders are up 4-2 in the game, 4 goals in the second, and that second period's still going.
I do want to quickly comment on games that are happening right now as we speak, as we record on Thursday night.
Here, I can pull
Ottawa
it up.
Ottawa versus Vegas. Vegas was winning 5-1 when I changed that game. It is now currently 5-4. So there goes what's his name? Thompson's points, obviously.
Yeah.
But then Talbot's in net, which is interesting because he hasn't really played.
Oh, is that his first start?
No, he came in as relief.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah. So they pulled Forsberg and they put in Talbot, and he's currently playing. So Ottawa has scored 3 unanswered goals, which is pretty big. So that'll be really interesting to see what happens there.
Stützle and Giroux were on hat trick watch.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And the one thing that I've said multiple times is Ottawa is the one team that I would never, ever trust if you have a multi-goal lead. And when I say multi-goal, I mean like 3+.
They're
they
like
can come
Florida
back.
Of last year.
They just, no matter what, they're just like, no, we still can win this. And they believe it. You look at other teams and they're down by multi-goals. And you say, yeah, we're still in this. They're not. You can see it. You can see it in their body language when they're down by 3, that they're not really giving it everything. Ottawa does. Every single time. DJ Smith is magical with that. He does not get enough credit there for what he's doing with that team. Now he's got some talent, so they can really kind of show that they're actually decent. It's going to take a bit of time, and I think that the reason they started so slow was they added so many assets and so many unique players that have their own skill sets that they need to find their groove. They got to find the right pairing. Passes are off. You look at DeBrincat, in Chicago, he had people that he'd been playing with since he was drafted there. So they knew his intricacies. That's why he was so good. They knew if I pass it here, he'll be there. They don't know that yet in Ottawa, but they're getting there. So I wouldn't count them out yet. I think they're still going to show that they made really good moves, and they're going to be doing that second half of the year push for the playoffs, but that's going to start sooner this time in comparison to if you did that about 3 weeks earlier, you would have made it.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens in that game because it looks like Vegas is going to be going to the power play here soon. Detroit, they're continuing their run, though they did not do well after Jersey just destroyed them. Yeah. They kind of went on a little bit of a downward slide, but big win over the Capitals. Blues actually had a goal called back, so Pat can't see it, but anybody watching can see the scores right now as we're talking. So obviously by the time you see this, we'll know all these outcomes.
These will all be done by a while. But
and shocker, McDavid has his 12th goal of the season.
Yeah, I honestly, I talked about how watching Edmonton Oilers hockey is boring, and I still stand by that. Because it is still just the McDavid show. I do like seeing more of Jesse Puljujärvi and Kyler Yamamoto like actually making an impact, even if they may not be on the score sheet. You can still see them making an impact in the game, and it's nice to see that that's continuing and also progressing. But the one thing that I really want to happen is I want McDavid to put up numbers that are stupid. I want to see stupid numbers from him this year. He's been putting up good, like, sorry, good is an understatement. He's been putting up really, really good numbers. I want it to be the point when the season ends, we look at that goal, like the totals, and the only response is, okay. Like
Anybody who doesn't vote him first in everything, it's like, really?
Vezina, why not? Like, wins the Jack Adams, like.
Yeah,
No, it's going to be fun to see him as long as he stays healthy this season. I think he's going to be having a career year this year.
He's one of those players that you may not enjoy watching the Oilers for that reason, but those like 7 to 9 minute highlight reels that you can watch the next day for the teams, if you're not watching the Oilers ones right now, you're missing out because he's doing something ridiculous. I showed a highlight to my wife. It was either this morning or yesterday, their game against Buffalo. He entered the zone, juggling the puck, keeping it away from the defender, and basically went like 40 feet with it and almost scored. And even my wife was like, so he's doing that and the other guy can't stop him. It's like, no, he is like that good of a player.
He's playing a different game.
He honestly is. And there are a lot of kids coming up that can kind of do that, but not at the speed that he does. That's the big thing. Like, I think we are going to look back, as weird as this sounds, it'll be like 2035, and we'll be looking back going, we did not appreciate McDavid as much as we should have during his years. He's technically not even in his prime in terms of what hockey players normally are their best, which is so stupid in the best way.
Well,
he's gonna get a cup.
But I don't think it's gonna be in Edmonton. I
hope it is, and then he leaves.
I hope that he leaves and then wins the cup. That's what I want.
LA.
Oh man, I hope that happens.
Or New York, because that's also in a place like Gretzky went, or St. Louis.
But I just want him to. Oh, you know what I want to happen? I want him to have this stupid year this year. Once again, get into the playoffs. They get knocked out first round. Like the true insult to injury. And then he goes, that's it. I'm done. Send me to Toronto. And then he wins the cup in Toronto the first year. And that's what breaks the curse.
The Matthews for McDavid trade.
And then it's this dissonance between the two fan bases of, you know, he was our player. We built him. It's ours. And it's just like, oh, well, no, we needed it. We were just missing one piece. It's like, you were missing the best piece in the world. And
the finals is Edmonton against Toronto, Matthews against McDavid, but reversed.
Oh my God. That would be. I don't even think I have words for that.
That's the only like trade. The Leafs would still have to throw something else in. That's like the only trade that you could ever look at if you're the Oilers GM, of being like, maybe?
The only other one I would think is potentially Bedard in like 2 or 3 years. If he comes in and shows that, like, holy crap, he's a monster, then that would be the only other one. And then at that point, I feel like Edmonton would have to sweeten it.
Yeah, that's you just never know, because there's always, like, he's being hailed as the prospect of prospects, like maybe more on Crosby level than McDavid level, but you just never know. It's exciting to see the kids that are coming up in the NHL in the future.
And I don't want to talk about Boston, but I think we have to, like, actually talk about Boston rather than just like, yeah, they're doing well. Like, they're 9-1 at least right now, right? This moment as we're recording, they are 9-1. They were playing without Marchand. They were playing without, I don't even remember who else wasn't there, because it didn't even matter.
Still injured.
Right.
Jeremy Swayman's currently injured, their number one goalie.
Right.
So it's Ullmark, I believe, is
Yep.
just absolutely killing it for them. Yeah, Linus Ullmark, he's top 10 in the league right now in both goals against and save percent. That's the Boston system, though. I mean, it helps when you've got Bergeron back.
Hmm.
You've got Krejci back in the NHL. They both Boston right now is playing with who cares about next year because they owe their cap hit next year already has like an extra $4 million because of the bonuses for those two players because
Yeah.
they signed for so cheap.
Well, and Pass has got to get a big pay raise too, but
Oh yeah, he does. Hey, Devil's
but
time.
it's just it's insane. Like the hockey that they're playing. I put on a couple of their games, and they're playing like you said, pretty much with nothing to lose. Marchand comes back and he puts up a hat trick. Are you kidding me? And
Was it a
he didn't even
No, I don't think it was a
no
hat trick. It was
like 3 or 4-point night
yeah, it
or
was
something
I think
stupid
it was
like
like
that.
a goal and 3 assists or something like that. But like he came back and it was like he came back early too. Everybody
Yeah, they
expected
said
everybody expected Boston to be like, okay, maybe a 500 team, and then they'll start to ramp up when Marchand comes back. But even look at Boston fans that you have on Facebook or that you follow anywhere. They're going, I don't know what to do with my hands right now. This is
yeah, they're like,
amazing. They're
do
the
not change a
saltiest.
thing.
They're the saltiest people on the planet. And though it's going to be great when Boston goes on their first losing streak because they're going to be like, fire everybody.
Yeah, it's the sentiment will change like immediately. It'll be the hardest emergency brake pull that you will ever see. But
Fast and the
going back to
Furious style.
Marchand, yeah, no, there's no drift. But you go back to Marchand, they said before he started that game, because that was the first game of a back-to-back, that he was going to play just that one and not the second game of the back-to-back because they want to get his feet going again, get him in there, but he's not 100%. So they didn't want him in. That is him not 100%, sheltered from the next game, and he does that. Come on. How do you go up against a team like that? They've got speed, they've got strength, they've got goaltending, they have surprisingly good defense without one of their lead defensemen there. Like, just
They're getting scoring from all over.
it's
And
amazing.
like right now, I'm trying to see who's in net for New York because they're up 4-2 against the Rangers, and I want to see if it's
I think it's
Sorokin
Shesterkin.
or yeah, it is Shesterkin that
Yeah.
started. And what did I say at the beginning of the year? If Igor does not play like a 940 plus goalie, the Rangers don't stand a chance.
No.
And we've seen that this year. So
Yeah, it's
look out for Boston. And oh
yeah,
my,
didn't
yeah, it's. By the way, the Golden Knights did end up getting the win 5-4. They were able
shoot.
to hold off there. Hurricanes and Lightning are going to OT. Canes have 51 shots on goal.
That's dumb.
That right there is what happens when you have the best goalie on the planet, known as Andrei Vasilevsky.
I can guarantee that entire arena, every single shot the Carolina is taking, they're just screaming as they swing their sticks. They're not even trying. They're just like, "Rah!"
Anger shots.
They're just so mad, and they're like, yeah, of course he stopped it. Like,
they're hitting it so hard that the Fox glow puck is showing up even without the technology for it.
it's just they've reignited the foxtail. Yeah. I also want to point out real quick that yeah. I had Boston 4th, you had them 5th. So we're definitely wrong there.
There's still
if
time.
this continues.
There's still time.
But yeah, it's so awesome. I don't know. I think it's so great to see stuff like this. Like, I think I talked about it last season with in baseball, San Francisco, the Giants last year were the first team to make it into the playoffs, to get enough points to make it into the playoffs. They were statistically there first. Amazing. Every single analyst had them as dead last. at the start of the season. So seeing stuff like this with Boston, them being like, yeah, they're going to be out. They're going to have no one. So they're going to be awful to start, and they're going to have a big challenge to come back. Look at them go. Then you also have Philly just doing stuff. Like somehow doing things.
Philly,
like,
I'm still not sure of, honestly.
Oh no, it's
the Torts.
It's Hart.
This is what he does, and yeah, Hart is playing back to. It's like I still don't trust New Jersey at all, and I won't. I'm you from last year, except at least you had evidence.
Yeah, that's true. This is like your first taste of like, holy crap, this team is actually pretty good.
Since Hall was MVP, and he shouldn't have been that year.
Yeah, so he really shouldn't have been. But it's good to see though, because this is what everyone was wanting. New Jersey should have been this good last year, but just injuries just ate that team alive.
We played the most goaltenders in the league, and I believe our combined save average was like a .88 or something like that. You're not winning a lot of. That's how our season started. Our save percentage combined was like a .81, and since then it's gone up a little bit, which has helped.
But Blackwood didn't start the season, did he? He was started injured, didn't he? I thought I remember it was like 2 or 3 games before he was in.
No, I think he played and then he didn't. Vanacek is actually top 10 right now in the league in save percent, which makes me very happy to see. There's like the top of the league right now. The top 5. I don't think anybody expected. Maybe Edmonton. Some people would have put them at the top. Most people had Calgary. You have to scroll all the way down to 19th to find Calgary. Mind you, they are a positive record. They are 5-3, but most teams would have had New York or Carolina, and they're sitting 5th or 6th and 7th respectively. Like, it is.
Most people would have had Colorado, and they're 24th. I mean, they haven't played as many games, but still, yikes.
Colorado, though, I think once they ramp up, once they get everybody going again, you and I said when Landeskog got injured, as long as they're in a playoff spot by trade deadline, they'll make the playoffs 100%. He'll be coming back. They'll get the steam engine going. Like, Makar is basically looking like he's playing hungover. That doesn't help.
Well, the other thing too is it was the concern that everyone had at the start of the season of who is the number 2 center. After Kadri's leaving, they've been kind of filtering in people. One of them, I was going to say Kiefer Sherwood. That's the wrong player. But yeah, he just got waived. But from Nashville. But you've got like Martin Kaut is up there right now because people are injured. You have Evan Rodriguez, who's playing on the top line for some reason. You've got Nichushkin, who's kind of hurt. He's like day to day. So you don't have like Logan O'Connor's not doing second line center very well. Neither is Rantanen. So they don't really have that. So what I think is going to be happening is they're kind of filtering in some of their not so young, but the AHL players that have been sitting down there and have been wanting to come up, but the team has been so good they had no space. So they're bringing them up right now because people are hurt. They also know they're doing okay. They'll be fine. They'll come back. So show them off, trade them to get a second line center with a pick. Like, it's as simple as that.
The Avs, when it kicks, they're going to go on a crazy streak again. Honestly, they've only played 3 home games this year. They've played 6 games on the road. They've got 2 in Finland, so 1 will be a home game, but it's not a home game.
No.
Give them a long homestand, and I think we will see the Avs coming back like crazy.
Yeah, I'm not worried. They'll make the playoffs, like, unless the only reason they won't make the playoffs is if Makar and McKinnon both get injured, and for either at the same time or they kind of alternate injuries. That to me is the only way that I could see them not being able to break into it. But they're also playing in a weaker division this year. Nashville, they're kind of not looking great. St. Louis, we talked about them. They're not looking good. Dallas is doing pretty good, which is nice to see. Minnesota's meh. Winnipeg's meh. Arizona, you know how good they are. Chicago, meh. Like all of them are kind of
Well,
right
there's
now.
there's four
So
points separating first from fifth, and that's Colorado to Dallas.
yeah,
And if the Avs win their next game, based on the amount that there is, that would put them in a tie for second with Winnipeg and Minnesota. So it's like they're not out of it. That's the thing with the
no,
West. Like even you go down to the Pacific, and yeah, Vancouver's at 6 points. They're pretty much out of it already, but they're not that far out. It's just Vegas sits so high above everybody else there.
yeah.
It's yeah, and then the East is just a whole other beast. The Metro still makes me laugh though. That between 7 and first, 4 points.
And like it's not like the Central Division where it's a narrow margin. It's like it's a narrow margin of garbage. Yours is a narrow margin of good. Like so,
It's
you
yeah,
know,
it's fun. It's not fun. It's
no,
not fun. Um,
no.
I think from there, do you have the? I forgot to get the stinger again. I'll get it next week if I remember. Games
Come
of the
on,
week.
Ryan.
Blah, 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 blah. I remember my game from last week.
Do
Boy,
you?
did I
Well,
pick a terrible one.
what are you talking about? That was such a good game.
Yes, because everybody loves a 1-0 game between two high-flying, high-scoring teams.
Yeah, but it was a fast-paced game that
Yes.
was like I don't know. I was on the edge of my seat the whole game. I was not bored whatsoever. It was only 1-0 and I was sitting there just like holy crap, this is good. It was
Normally,
like these
normally
are
we
two
usually pick
fantastic
like
teams.
6, 7 goal games. It's not very often in this NHL anymore. A 1-0 game happens
Yeah.
unless
So,
it's like uh, Dallas in the playoffs with Ottinger.
yeah, true because they couldn't score.
That
Although
I don't
Jason
remember what happened.
Robertson,
Yeah,
I'll just say that, Jason Robertson, I'm glad they signed him, but I also wish they didn't because I would like to see him on a team with actual hockey players. Um, and him and Mason Marchman. So mine was a Saturday game. I chose New York versus Dallas. So the Rangers versus the Stars. Rangers won 6-3. It was a pretty solid game. It was entertaining. I don't know. I put that it wasn't a bad game, but it was just kind of like, yeah, okay. It was tight between the first two periods, and then the third period, New York kind of went away with it because Ottinger got hurt in the first period. Wedgwood was doing his best to stand on his head, but they couldn't do anything to really keep the puck out of the net after the second period ended. So that kind of sucked. The reason I chose it was because it was, in my opinion, the two Vezina candidates this year going head to head. I know obviously Shesterkin's not doing great out of the gate, but he's a good goaltender. He'll pick it back up unless we're looking at a Hellebuck sort of situation where he goes up and down, every other season sort of thing. But yeah, I was hoping for something.
a little more.
I honestly, I was expecting the score from the Colorado New Jersey game for the Dallas New York game. So that's probably why I was disappointed on top of Ottinger getting injured. So that was my pick.
Low key too, highly underrated. You got to see it firsthand. The Devil's Decor is kind of good.
Yeah, Marino was one of the best, like the
Thank you,
sneakiest
Pittsburgh,
pickups.
for not being able to afford him.
And look at how much Pittsburgh's suffering without him. They desperately need him, and the Devils are just like, no thanks for having.
And we have two like literal S tier potential defensemen in the pipeline. One
Yeah.
who, if the Devils make the playoffs, he will join the team. Luke Hughes will play for the Devils if they make it into the playoffs, and I can only pray for a Cale Makar-like entrance. Nemec will probably be a few years, which I hope. Defensemen, look at Owen Power. Look at Dahlin. It's taken them a few years. Now they're going, so that's what I want. We'll go with me for this week because you always pick two, just in case we have the same one.
I always got a backup.
Gotta go Saturday night. This one will be. There's so many games where I was like, that could be good, but it's probably not going to. It's a weird week where it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of games.
Mhm.
But I am going to the Sunshine State.
Oh, okay.
The Tampa Bay Lightning are hosting the Buffalo Sabres Saturday night.
Oh, I actually looked at that one. Okay. Why do you think that'll be good?
This Buffalo team right now is so much fun. And you've got two of the best Swedish defensemen who are just going to potentially put up points against each other. And I want to see what Tage Thompson can do against the best goaltender on the planet. Like, Buffalo used to come to town and teams would be like, okay, yeah, we don't have to worry as much. Now Buffalo comes to town.
Let's start Andrew Lyon,
Yeah, and now Buffalo comes to town and you've got to be on your A game. Like the Leafs come for the second night, you're like, no, the backup can play against them. They're ridiculous this year. I hope this trend continues for them, and I would love to see Buffalo make the playoffs. So I wouldn't be surprised if I say Buffalo a few times this year for games of the week.
Yeah. I'm not gonna write down who you think, like predictions or anything, but who do you think is gonna win out of those?
Oh, Buffalo.
Really? Okay.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
I mean, I was completely wrong in the Leafs playing San Jose game, but
Yeah.
just this Sabres team is so much fun. And they are doing something that we talked about this before, that now that the Bills are going, it seems like some of that fun and stupidity, they're throwing dildos on the ice. That is the thing that happens to the Bills. They throw dildos onto the field. And the best part was the video that came out of it was at Dahlin. He sees it, he smirks, and he just like slaps it down the ice. Like, Buffalo is a city in and of itself. Like, the fans are ridiculous. You know for a fact that if the Sabres make it to the playoffs, the Bills players are going to be there every single night, and those fans are going to destroy so many tables because they're going to be on a high from the Bills winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. No, they're not. They're not there. Next year, maybe. This year, no. The Chiefs have done too many things, and same with like the Vikings are coming in hotter than everyone expected them to. Nobody wants to talk about it, but they're actually a good team.
Mahomes isn't going to take out the Bills 3 years in a row.
No, but you know who is going to? Philly. Because Philly is another. See, like this is before we get into my picks. Before we get into my picks, the cities are doing awesome things together, and that's really friggin' cool. You've got Philly, like why is my brain not working? Oh my god, Eagles. Oh my god. The Philadelphia Eagles, they are 7-0. They're currently playing right this moment, and so are the Philadelphia Phillies. They are also playing right this moment, but they're in the friggin' World Series.
Down 2-1 in the top of the sixth as we
even still.
Hey, they're not getting no hit tonight.
Hey, they did it. I watched the home run. But you've got full-blown cities, and then you've got the Flyers that, they're playing way further than everyone expected them to. So like to them, it's like it's a huge win. So you've got that city doing everything. And then you've got the flip side of other cities just crapping the bed together with Pittsburgh. So you've got the Pirates, the baseball team, garbage, even though they've got some good talent on there. No, they're bad. Then you've got the Steelers, who like they should be doing okay. They aren't.
Have you seen Steelers fans on Facebook and Twitter? It is like that is just getting me through the days right now because it's
so good.
Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers fans are the NFL version of Boston Bruins fans in the NHL.
Yes.
They are the worst, but they're still not Leaf fans.
Yeah. They're obnoxious. Sorry if you're a
but at least they
fan,
know it.
But
they know.
Yeah, they embrace it. They're like, yeah, of course we're obnoxious. We're Steelers fans. That's what we do. So it's like, okay, cool. As long as you can own it.
His nickname was the Bus.
Yeah, which he was awesome. But even still, so you've got these cities that are doing things together, and I think that's really friggin' cool. And I'm really excited to watch the Raptors tank to go along with Toronto, with the Leafs, that is. Although the Patriots aren't really doing much, and neither did the Red Sox. But anyway,
Well, that Boston,
let's.
Boston, like they have anything to complain about with how many titles they have and
Oh no, don't
everything.
worry. They have been complaining
Oh, I
and
know.
non-friggin' stop. Anyways,
Okay, Pat's
my
game of the week.
choice for this one was the easy pick. Everyone should choose this. I can't believe you didn't go for it. That's the reason why I chose to. My backup was Dallas at Winnipeg because I figure that's going to be a boring match, but a good match. But this one is the statement game of the season so far. Period. End of story. You can make any other argument you want, but you're wrong. This game has so much riding on it.
Can
And
I
that is
guess? Oh,
Boston
yep.
versus Toronto.
See, I was looking
Sorry.
at that. I was looking at that, and it was like, this is the obvious one. I know it's going to
Yep.
get chosen. That's why I was like, you know what? I'll go with something a little different.
Yeah,
Because,
that's fair.
like, yeah, that's Boston, Toronto in and of itself. If the Leafs weren't doing the way they were, even if both teams were like 1-9, that is still a game you circle on your calendar because of everything with those two teams.
Mm-hmm. But you've got Boston, who have they won today? Did they win today?
They're going to. They're up.
Okay.
They won 5-2 against the Rangers.
Okay, so you've got Boston, who is now 10-1. Holy crap! First of all, so you've got Boston that are just absolutely killing it. They are on a huge win streak. That's crazy. And then you've got Toronto. Toronto obviously has been struggling. I had to like kind of
I
think
thought you were
about this
literally
to
gonna
say this.
stop when you said that, because that would have been to me. That would have, everybody would have been like, "Ah, yes, I get the silence. Yes, that makes sense."
Yeah. But like Toronto, it's not that they're bad, they're just figuring it out. And which is weird because they should be past that point by now. Granted, third and fourth line, that has been a blender from start to finish. They can't figure out the wingers, things like that. Bunting hasn't really been doing much because he just keeps trying to pass instead of getting in front of the net and shooting. Like, I don't know what changed, why he decided he was like, I'm going to pass, when really he should just be doing what he did last year.
It's because he's trying to make his next contract, and
he's doing a poor job. He will not be a Toronto Maple Leaf at this rate. But you've got two drastically different situations. Boston, you don't want the streak to end in Toronto because that will be demoralizing. As much as Boston fans will be like, it's just Toronto. Hey, I'm just going to shout. And, I don't know Boston
then
accent.
then the narrative would become the Leafs get the win against Philly, then they get it against Boston. They've got a tough schedule, but that could be the start of something. And it's just, it's a perfect storm game where no matter who wins or who loses, something crazy will come out of it, because it could be one of those games. Yeah, it will be game 11 or 12 for both teams in the season. It will probably be one of those games at the halfway point, at near playoffs, looking back at that was a game that was kind of important for both teams.
Yeah, so it's going to be incredibly interesting. I'm saying Boston's going to take that easily, especially since Toronto is playing a back-to-back, and they're going up against Carolina on Sunday at 5, which is weird. But yeah, so you've got Toronto with that in their mind as well. And people will say, no, they don't have that. It's there. They know they have to play another team that's a top tier team in the entire league and has been for years. So, there's so much riding on this game, because if Toronto loses, and big time, something's happening. Plain and simple. And I want them to lose because I want that chaos. I want something to happen, something big. And then it just changes everything. And they just fly right back and they win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
like
I was going to say, because you
have
had the Stanley Cup. I think we'll wrap it up there. We're at the 59th minute. I'm going to change the screen over. You're going to see another picture of Pat, because I know Pat really wants to talk about this.
Yeah, so I usually end on a weird note. That's just what I do. But we are going to be kind of talking about my face looking blue. I'm looking
Yeah.
at my screen over here. It's fine.
Nice Blue Man Group photo, Pat.
Yes, that was at a concert recently. I was at Mark Rebier. If you haven't listened to him, he's fun.
A lot of people
Anyway,
know him from the one TikTok. By the way, the more I look at this photo, the more it looks like a blue version of the Santa Claus, or maybe like
yeah,
Jack
I know.
Frost. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
your Jack Frost photo, and I can't unsee it now.
I don't particularly like how much I look like Santa, but here we are. Um,
Ho ho oh no.
oh no. Um, yes, I am doing Movember. That's why my face looks so weird right now. Like, did you know I have a jawline? Because I didn't. It's not really there. The double chin gets in the way, but I am doing Movember this year. I'm not doing a full one like I did last year because, as I wrote in my motivation, people were not thrilled. And when I say people, I mean myself and my wife. The two of us were just like, this was a travesty. Don't do that again. So I'm leaving a little bit of stubble, but I am going to be keeping it pretty much. I shaved today. I've shaved every other day. I'm keeping it at this length, which is pretty damn short, but keeping the mustache going. So I at least am participating in the growth of the mustache. But I'm also going to be doing a step challenge. I'm going to be doing 60 kilometers this month, which doesn't sound like a ton, but at the same time, I'm lazy. So I'm going to be doing both of those. On top of that, I have just for some reason agreed to do yet another eating challenge. I will be doing the one chip challenge. I don't know. For those that don't know what that is, there's a chip company called Paqui. And what they do is they create super duper hot chips. And then they also create this one chip with spices from this year, the scorpion pepper and my least favorite thing in the world, the Carolina Reaper. And they put it on a chip. And it's called the one chip challenge. Some of them have said that it has the effects of similar to fentanyl. When you eat it, yes, that is the correct response, Brian. But I will be doing that at some point this month, and that is all to raise money for Movember, for helping with prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and the one that obviously I think everyone can assume that's near and dear to my heart, and that is mental health. We've talked about it many times. I've struggled with it throughout my lifetime. And I think it's important that we stop pretending like it's not a thing. We stop talking about therapy like it's this awful, whoa, no, it's terrible. We shouldn't talk. No, stop that. It's so good. It's so important that people go and they do this. I started this year going, and I've learned things that have helped me through anxieties that I have from traumas I didn't even know I had. And it's been so helpful for me, for my mental health, for my family, for everyone. So that's why I'm raising money. If you can donate, hell yeah, you're the best. Go for it. If you can't, guess what? You're still the best. Thank you for listening to us.
And for those
But
watching, the QR code has been on the screen for the last few minutes. So just pause here,
yeah,
or just hold it up with your phone, set it to the QR, and it'll bring you
exactly.
right to it.
Yeah, so if you can donate, that's amazing. I am trying to double my goal or my result from last year, which was $1,030, which I cannot believe I made that much, that I raised that much last year. So I'm going for 2060. It's a big goal, but I'm really hopeful that I can do that. So yes, if you can, that'd be amazing. And if you can't, just keep supporting your friends, reach out to them, make sure that you be that person for them. There's a ton of resources on the Movember website for you as well to have really tough conversations, and how to help navigate that. So yeah, it's a fantastic cause, and I'm really excited to be doing it again, much to the chagrin of most people to have to look at my face.
So that is what's going on with you. Maybe if you do the one chip challenge, I know when you did the pepper last year, you had it streaming on your Facebook. Maybe I'll steal the stream.
I'm gonna do.
We'll put it on here somewhere. Maybe we'll mess around with Twitch because we've been doing some of the stuff live. So
There will
we'll
be
make sure it
video
exists.
content.
Yes.
There's no way I'm gonna do that without recording it. I'm
then
gonna put my body through that for nobody to see it but the other person doing the chip challenge with me. That's stupid.
I'm not doing the chip challenge. I'm saying that now.
No, it is a coworker of mine. So if you do watch, his name is Rich. He is the one that purchased it. He is the one that has convinced me to do this yet again, I did the Reaper with him last year, and it was one of the worst experiences I have ever had. So why not go for it again?
The fact that I had a habanero beer once and I was like, I can't do this. I'm not. I would be the person who would go on a show like Hot Ones and I'd hit the first sauce and I'd be like,
and they're like, that was the milk. What's wrong? Are you okay?
it was literally just pepper.
There was just residue on the glass. Are you sure you're fine?
I'm lactose intolerant. I'm not fine.
That's fair.
All right, so we will wrap it up there. We'll put the QR code back up one more time quickly here for anybody who wants to donate or support Pat. You can find that. We'll also link this in the description for the podcast version and as well on YouTube. We will talk to everybody again next week, and who knows what will happen between now and then. And that nice short episode, Pat, it didn't happen.
No, it never does.
It never does. Say
I'm
bye.
gonna go to bed.
Yep. Say bye, Pat.
Bye, Pat.